This video is brought to you by Squarespace. One of the first lenses that I ever fell in love with was the 135mm f2 from Canon. It gave me a unique look, like that only a 200mm f2 can beat. I'm actually filming B-roll with the 135 1.8 from Sony right now, right there. When I switched from the 5D Mark III to the A7 II, one of the first lenses that I picked up was a manual focus Rokinon 135 f2, and I hate manual focus because that's all there was at the time for E-mount. I filmed a review on it. It was super high production. I still don't know how that video did not go viral.
Battle depth of field is just amazing. So guys, and now time to look at some sample images.
I use that lens for weddings and Sweet 16 portraits. Every time I pressed the shutter, I had to refocus again, magnify. Every time before taking another shot, because the depth of field was so thin, it was painful, but I did what I had to do for that look. Now fast forward like 6 years. Sony releases the 135 1.8, and guess who was part of the launch event? My dream come true, right? That's what I thought, but the thing is that I already owned the 85 1.4, my bread and butter focal length, and a 70 to 200 2.8. For me, it just didn't make sense to buy. Plus, when it comes down to it, it's a niche lens. It's like a luxury to have. And it's also not a very convenient one to use because you need a ton of space. And I like to shoot in the city. The 85 1.4 is just so much easier, convenient to use. It's also smaller and lighter, that's for sure. It just makes more sense for portraits. And this lens would be my first recommendation to anyone out there trying to shoot portraits. The 85 1.4 is just so much more easier, convenient to use. You know what I just did? Mid-video, I put an 85 1.4 on my Sony A1 that I was just holding right there, kind of replicating the frame as the 135 so you can see a visual difference. It's a lot closer than the 135. Like I was saying, the 85 1.4 just makes more sense for portraits and would actually be my first recommendation for anyone out there looking to shoot people. So then what's the point of getting 135mm? Like, I still have a little bit of buyer's remorse. I have like 3 85mm lenses, a 70 to 200, and even the 200mm f2. I looked at some of my old shots using a 135, and I was reading some of your comments on Instagram about the 135, and it seems to be a common thing that people that own the 135 1.8 don't use it as much, but it is the best lens that they have ever used, and I felt that. The fact that I can achieve something somewhat close to the best portrait lens of all time, the 200mm f2 Canon, if you disagree, fight me, in a much smaller, compact form factor, that's what sold me. Right now, there are like 2 other 135 1.8s out there from Samyang and Sigma. The Samyang's about $1,000, it's a good price. Julia Trotti made a video comparing all 3 lenses. See, I never used the Samyang, but I did compare the Sigma and the Sony, I think a year ago. They rendered almost identical in image quality, and I know I could have saved a couple bucks getting the Sigma, but I'm thinking about using it for some sports, and I just wanted that native autofocus performance. So if you have ever used a 135mm 1.8, do you agree with my thoughts? It gives you a unique look, something that just the 85 does not give you. Plus, I need to comfort myself because I have a little buyer's remorse. Speaking of buyer's remorse, the one thing that you're not gonna regret is starting up a website with Squarespace. So if you have been looking to start a website, blog, or an online store, Squarespace is where you need to be. I've been using it for about 4 or 5 years now, and I love how my work looks, super high quality. It's so easy to use. I mean, you don't need any coding or graphic designing background to do it. And just a click of a button, you could change everything, the whole template, you know? You have any questions? They got 24/7 customer support. You wanna start an online store like I did. This is how I create passive income, money coming in while I sleep. I sell my portrait presets, some of the best presets on the internet, and my retouching tutorial, and also my Manny Ortiz beauty dish, my collaboration with Westcott. That's all there, and that all provides, you know, a side income for me. Every entrepreneur should have a website because those social media platforms, those are not yours. That can be taken away at any time. So if you use the code Manny, you will get 10% off your first purchase. So what are you waiting for? No, but really, I would love to know your thoughts and how it compares to the 85 millimeter. Thank you. Holla at your boy.